Hey everyone, how are you? I'm Lisa Johnson and I'm the Associate Dean for International Study, and I'm here with my esteemed colleague,
Angelo Pisano. I'm the study abroad coordinator, and I recognize two faces from just today advisory session. But the rest of you, hello, if I haven't met you already.
12, there should be 16 of you, but we're going to go ahead and get started. We will be here for probably 45 minutes or so. If we can end earlier, I certainly will do that because I know you've got a lot on your plates and you want to do some other things, but we could think about studying abroad for sure. What we're going to do today, we're going to do some quick introductions, and then we're going to go into a small group discussion all on Jamboard. Then we're going to talk about studying abroad as it pertains to before you go, while you're abroad, and then after you come back, which seems like a long time away from now, but you will actually be coming back to Smith eventually. And then if you have any questions, okay? So you should have all just received an email at around 4:30 giving you access to a Jamboard. And I would like you to open up that Jamboard. And start populating the first slide. And now I need to figure out how to do this. I'm sharing the presentation. There we go. Coming up. So tab. Shoot. No. Looks good, looks good.
Keep minimizing. They like disappear to another.
There. Looks good. I'm trying to figure out how to share this so we can all see it at once, and we're having some technical
To try escape.
Someone puts down. Now we're showing a lot of how this. So I can see here, I think, is there a photo of the British Museum? Did someone put that up? No? Okay, I'm trying to get my, there's a bagpipes. Who put those up? Who are you and where are you going?
Scotland, St. Andrews.
Okay, great. And what's your name? Chloe Church, great.
Yes.
And Cambridge, okay, and let me see. Did you Oh, I know, I can see which ones are. So it's interesting, when we get this up and we can all look at it, a lot of the old, and ancient buildings, in the UK look like all the same. So they're kind of hard. Okay, so who put the London Bridge up? Guys can see a London Bridge on there. Nobody?
There's a ghost.
Okay, a ghost, exactly. Who put the Bridge of Sighs? Great, who are you? Leela, or Leela, right, hi Leela, I had emailed with you a lot, how are you? And is Caitlin Connors here? Yay, okay, so you found each other, very good. The Bridge of Sighs, which is right on Hartford College, there, it goes over a street and it separates two buildings of Hartford College. And did you get it?
Sorry, where is it?
Exactly.
Screen sharing and stuff because I don't know.
Here we go.
Okay, don't touch it. Okay, so the Bridge of Sighs is right there in the middle, and we've got the bagpipes, University College London, or Dublin, sorry. University, sorry, and you're Siobhan? Yay, okay, going to University College Dublin. And you can,
So what?
there should be a presentation.
Oh.
Never mind. Let's not go into it. Okay, oh, there's two Hartford College images. One is the Bridge of Sighs, and then this one in the lower right-hand corner is the circular staircase. And then Pembroke College, is that one in the lower right-hand corner, left-hand corner?
So,
This one, I think, no? Okay. This is, you think, okay, that's Pembroke College? Did you Google the Pembroke College?
I just Googled Cambridge.
Cambridge, okay. So for those of you who are going to be in the UK, if you go to Oxford and you go to Cambridge, there's the exact same building that looks very similar. They're not the same building, but they look very similar. This looks to me, looks like the British Museum. That's not the British Museum. What is it?
It's UCL.
Oh, it's University College London. Okay, who are you?
I'm Lillian.
Yay, nice to meet you. Are you the only one going to UCL that you know? Anybody else? I think so, right, very intrepid. And then St. Andrews. Oh, this is the London Eye. This is London. Who's going to London?
That's actually not the London Eye. It's Singapore.
Oh,
They have
okay.
their own smaller version.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're going to Yale in US? Yes. Right, with your friend? Hi, okay. And, so that's all, right? What are we missing? I feel like we're missing some.
Did we talk about the one up the top in the middle? Is that?
This one, I thought it was London Bridge, but it's
Okay.
not.
That's also Singapore.
That's
Also Singapore.
Okay, so these two are Singapore. That one looks kind of like the UK. University College Dublin. So as versus corporate to studies.
I don't know, I can't figure out how to get the images on my iPad.
Oh, on an iPad. Oh, I can help you. I can barely manage my own Dell and stuff. Okay. So who we missed? Anybody? Where are you going?
St. Andrews.
St. Andrews. Okay, great. And St. Andrews there. Yep. Hi.
University of Edinburgh.
University of Edinburgh. Lower. This is University of Edinburgh? Yeah, okay. There's a lot of steeples. Look at, there's a steeple there, a steeple there, you know, kind of a dome, all over. Great. Who else have we got everybody? All right, so you are all here because you're going on what we call a direct enroll program. And a direct enroll program is a program where you're taking 100% of your coursework at the host institution. And so we bring you together. Can you continue with the Jamboard?
Oh, with the, sorry, yep.
We bring you together as a distinct group because, again, the way you're taking classes, the way money is going to be handled for you from our office is different, and so on and so forth. So we're going to talk about those things tonight. and make sure that you have as much information as you can, hopefully, and that we can, in this ever-changing environment, that we're in today. So the next thing we're gonna do is this discussion, and if, Angela, if you can advance to the next jump board. What I'd like for you to do, Paris, I see you in there, you got it. To the next, yeah, okay. Is answer some of these questions for yourselves. There's three. Well, there's two on this, there's three boards, right? And you take about 5 minutes, not more than that. Tell us something about what you're thinking about with regards to your study abroad experience. Is there anything you're worried and concerned about? Can you go to the next one? When you're done with this one, go to the next board. What are some of the things you still need to get ready for your time abroad? Like finish finals, for example. And last but not least, what are you hoping to learn from your credit experience? So take about 5 minutes, put some sticky notes and your answers to these boards, please. You don't have to do them chronologically, you can work on it or if you want to.
Do you want to take them in order?
We don't have to come back to this one.
Should stop and start again.
Okay, we don't need to go out of it much further. And if you agree with some of these statements, you can definitely do that too and right now. You're ready, if you're done with the first Jamboard, go ahead and advance to the second one. wrap things up in just about a minute, and we'll talk about this a little bit. Okay, I'm going to spend about 5 minutes just talking these through a little bit and addressing some of the questions and concerns and talking about these three panels. So I'm before I go on, I love the fact that we're here in 3D. I've done these pre-departure orientations the last 2 semesters. We did this exercise and it was all on Zoom. It wasn't quite as interesting, or it was interesting, but I like having everybody here. So thank you for joining us today. So some of the things we're excited about, classes and things that you can't get at Smith. You're going to large universities, so definitely try to take advantage as much as possible of the offerings that are open to visiting students in the countries that you're studying in. With that said, be aware that there are some types of courses that Smith does not award credit for. So marketing classes or business classes and things like that. You probably won't get credit for them, so try not to get too jazzed by them if you find them. But if there are courses that fall within like the academic departments here at Smith, the exact course does not need to be taught here at Smith, obviously, but if it's a history course or an economics course or a biochemistry course, then you could get credit for it as long as we offer that for. Getting to see new places, getting to meet new people, getting to talk to people who don't, who are not, like Smith or Northampton or Western Massachusetts and stuff. And that's things like are really exciting. A livelier cities, definitely. I think all of you are going to places that are got a little bit more going on than Northampton, perhaps, which should be interesting. Your concerns, you can see the concerns are, somewhat uniform. COVID is a big concern, and we'll talk a little bit about that in just a minute. With that said, 2 things to point out. Rest assured that Smith is doing all it can to do as much assessment as we can with the information that changes on an hourly basis sometimes, to make determinations on to keep students as safe as possible. So we may have to be in a situation, hopefully not, where we have to make some tough decisions. At the same time, if the situation and your own information gathering that you're doing is causing you concern, please know you don't have to go abroad, okay? So don't feel like you're forced to go into a situation that you're feeling uncomfortable doing. With study abroad and international exchange in general, there needs to be a fine line between, a little bit of nervousness and a little bit of, oh my gosh, what am I getting into? But if it's something that you or your family members are like, this is too much, then listen to that because you don't want to go abroad and be miserable for your semester abroad. So just know that it's a 2-way street in that sense. Okay. And I like the question that was traveling during the pandemic. One of the things we're seeing, and this is particularly true because most of the Smith students who are abroad right now are in Western Europe, and some programs are restricting travel to just within the country and not allowing international travel. And we're seeing that the depth of cultural immersion and in some cases language immersion, which won't be your case necessarily unless you have a hard time learning British English or Irish English. And believe me, you'll be the first couple of days in English in Singapore, the first couple of days you will find yourself being like, what? And they're speaking English, but you have no idea what they just said. That's stuff. So, but the depth of cultural immersion and language immersion with the students who are studying, staying within their countries and their host countries is much more deeper than if it had been like the normal year where students were traveling around. So Stipend is not going to stop you from traveling, so you do have to abide by your host institution's guidelines and stuff like that. And then just really consider what the risks are, again, with this ever-changing world and border changing, border closing and stuff like that. Is it really worth the risk if you go abroad and you get stuck abroad, what happens? So my personal recommendation would be to maybe wait to do any international traveling and towards the end of your semester, where hopefully weather will be better. I know that COVID's not dependent on cold and flu season, but it gives you more opportunity to be outside and help you perhaps distance from people where you can go and see the sites. And maybe use the first part of your semester exploring within Scotland and Ireland and Singapore and then England. Okay. Stipends. So maybe for the first time in your life, you're going to have to budget quite a large amount of money to pay for your food. And know that the food stipends, they should be enough, right? We are expecting them to be enough based on information that we've gathered from your host institutions. And then we also top up a little bit more than that. So make yourself a budget, and your food stipend is for you to go grocery shopping mostly. You could probably, save some here and there to maybe go out to dinner on the weekend once or twice, and stuff. But your food stipend is not going to be enough for you if you're eating out all the time. I'll tell you that for sure. Okay. So you're expected to do your own cooking and in your self-catered environments and stuff, and make your food stipend last. Okay. If you're doing everything that I've just said, you're budgeting, you're not going to, I don't know, McDonald's or something for lunch every day, or the British equivalent of, I don't even know, can't even think.
Pret a manger,
Yeah, okay, right.
yeah, the sandwich shop.
If you're doing everything that I've just recommended and you're seeing that your food stipend isn't enough, let us know, okay? We want you to try to live within your means, but maybe, and we know this too, things are more expensive now, inflation's going up, and things like that. So if it's not enough, let us know. We will ask you for some details about how you're spending your food stipend and make decisions accordingly. Okay. The idea with this is that, again, unless you're making different decisions, you should not be using your own pocket money to cover your food. So far, so good? All right. Anything else on this one before we move on?
Coursework, self-directed learning.
Oh, that's a good one, especially where you're going, because the UK, the large universities in the UK, I'm not so much sure about Yale and US, but there may be little to little direction in terms of learning. There may be a syllabus, maybe not. There may be continual assessment, and by that I mean week 2 there's quiz, week 4 there's another quiz, there's a midterm, so you have a know how you're doing. Most likely, there will be one exam at the end of the semester, and that's what your grade is going to count on. Okay, so if you're trying to figure out how you're doing, you need to be talking to your classmates and the faculty members, the professors, to try to get a sense of how you're doing. Okay. With that said, most students at Smith do about the same academically as they do here at Smith. Okay, unless you stop going to classes and you travel around during the semester and you save all of your studying for that final exam to like the night before, you will probably tank. That is very rarely happened and stuff. And so most, depending on the grades that you're used to earning, you will most likely do about that same while you're abroad. Okay. Your university should have some information about how the grades are converted, because in the UK, I'm not remembering specifically in Singapore, there's a number system, and it's based on 100, and a 40 might be a B, whereas a 40 here is a D, or worse, So figure out what that scale is, because I will be translating your grades from your number grades into Smith letter grades for you. Okay, but it's good to have a sense of what that is. And I just talked to a student who's in London now, and she was panicked because she thought she was failing in class, and really the failing mark that she was getting in the UK is actually a B. So she's like, oh, I'll do better. So far, so good. Okay, let's quickly go to the next two things you need to get going. Visas, packing, packing. Angelo is relatively new here, and we were walking over from Wright Hall, and there was people standing outside of J&G, and I said to him, I wonder if they're waiting to get into the truck room. And Angelo's like, what's a truck room? And stuff. And it's like, well, it's a space where students get to store their stuff. So as you're going abroad, you need to not only think about that, but also think about packing and stuff like that. You need to still get your flights, register for classes. You probably won't be registering for classes until you actually get there. And most of your universities have an ad-hoc period as well. Okay. If you're going to be taking a course that was not on your plan of study, that you submitted 100 years ago when you applied for study abroad approval, there's a way, and we'll talk about it in a minute, to let me know what new course you're wanting to take so that you can get it pre-approved. Okay. Register classes, visas. Okay, you're not going to be able to bring everything. Yeah, you should have bringing everything because you're going to buy souvenirs while you're abroad. So you need to figure that one out too. Okay, let's go to the next one. Last one, study abroad. Oh, this is a great. Thank you for that. Yeah. So it'll be fun. I mean, we're living in a very exciting time right now in 2021, going into 2022. And I think it's only going to get more exciting throughout the world and stuff. So higher level classes, the British accent, again, we've talked about that a little bit. Challenging yourself. So some of these things you might want to take a note of for yourself and kind of write it down as your to-do and stuff, because we will be checking in with you mid-semester just to see how you're doing. What does your to-do list look like, and your bucket list look like, and make sure that you're going on. Okay. All right. Any questions or comments about that? Yeah, sure.
Okay, so at UCB at least, they say students take from 4 to 6 classes. So I was wondering, like, what does Smith consider to be like a full course load there? Because I know like here
Very
you're
good.
like 16 to.
Yeah, very good. And you said UCD?
Yeah.
You'll be taking 5 credit classes. Okay. Don't panic, because like, oh, I've never taken 6 classes in my life. You'll be fine. Okay. Because they're fewer classes, and so it's a little lighter workload. But you'll find that the workload of those 6 classes will be on par with Smith.
Okay.
Okay. Those going to University of Edinburgh, you'll probably be taking 3 20-credit courses. You have to take 60 spot credits and stuff. So generally those are 3 pieces. The students going to Cambridge and Oxford, you're going to be doing tutorials, a primary and a secondary tutorial. So as you generally take 4 classes, UCL as well, you're taking 4 classes, and Yale and US as well, generally 4 classes. Did I get everybody? St. Andrews, you will either take 3 20 spot credits or 2 60 or 2 30 spot credits. Those are going to be more in-depth seminar kinds of courses and stuff. So if you have the opportunity, students love those classes. So they're quite similar to like classes. Okay. All right. Can we go back to the PowerPoint?
That's not sure the way.
You do the tab alt. I think they get it. Presentation back. Okay, we'll just go with this one.
Wait.
I know.
Might have separate. Mouse is going somewhere.
The mouse is going somewhere. Thank you for your patience, everybody. This is the first pre-departure orientation, so if you come to Thursdays, we'll be totally cool. So amazed. Or can we just,
Nearly had it.
This is the first one, and then we go again on the second.
no. So it's 3 different groups, direct enroll, because you're all doing all of your courses. And tomorrow are the students going to the Smith program, so Paris, Geneva, Hamburg, and Florence. Thursday is all the students going to Spain and 1 student going to Portugal. And then Wednesday is, we're calling it casserole because it's a little bit of everything. Because it was the best one for the 4 days. And I wanted to not have one on Friday when you're always in last class.
We don't have presenter view.
That's okay. That's okay. So, as I mentioned, we're going to talk a little bit about before you go, and just some things key points to keep in mind. But you should have all received access to the Moodle pre-departure site. And if you haven't taken time to spend in the Moodle site, a lot of what I'm going to be talking about is available and reiterated in that site. Okay. Dual authentication is really important. The last thing you want to do is get locked out of your SPIT network. And this is particularly true to know how to do that if you end up changing your SIM card. So if you're abroad and you get a UK phone number or an Irish phone number or a Singapore phone number, you know, that you want to be able to still use that phone number to access the SMIT network and stuff. So be sure that you have information, and there's instructions in the Moodle site on how to do that. All right. Money and budgeting, as we talked about, you're going to have to budget this and stuff, and you should have, you know, Smith is covering your tuition, your room, and your board, so you should not be paying out of pocket for those expenses. Okay. And if you have to take public transportation from where you're living to get to your classes, you can apply for a transit stipend. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. Okay. Most of you might be living close enough to walk to classes, kind of like here. It's a little bit more of a walk from the quad to Sealy or something like that. But, you know, within a 15-minute walk, you probably won't get a transit stipend, but in other instances, you may have to take public transportation. Okay. Health and wellness, get your boosters if you can, if you're eligible, try to do that. And the reason for that is because it's unclear right now what Europe is going to do about vaccination eligibility and validity, VAL, validity. And it may be that at some point, hopefully not, in April or May, that people who have not yet had a booster, received a booster, might be ineligible to move around, access museums, restaurants, public transportation, and things like that. So if there's any way that you can get your booster, if you're eligible, before you depart, that this will be the best scenario. Okay. And you'll see today that it will be required for when you come back. Right, and then also managing your own health and wellness while you're abroad is important. So you're going through a transition, and you need to figure out what is the best way to provide your own self-care, right? If you're taking medications, particularly prescription medications, have conversations with your doctors to make sure that you have access to your medication while you're abroad, and that you can legally enter your country with your prescription medication, that you can potentially take a full semester's worth of medication with you. And if not, how can you access that medication in the countries that you're going to, okay? If you need help with that, let us know, that either Angela or I can help you with that too, because sometimes doctors here in the US, they don't know much about international travel. And so they'll be like, sure, you won't have any problem. and stuff, and then, there may be a problem. So ask some questions. Yeah. go ahead,
Oh,
Lila.
the study put office to help us out, is that like health insurance there or something?
So that's a good question, health insurance. So you will be required to maintain your US-based health insurance, right? And you should contact your health insurance primary provider and make sure that you will be covered while you're abroad, okay?
What if you have public insurance?
If you have public insurance, I don't know the answer to that. Have you had a chance to look into it?
Yeah, I tried to contact the one that is recommended on the website,
Uh-huh.
but they didn't get back to me.
Okay. Let us know, can you follow up, send a follow-up email? So if your insurance doesn't cover you while you're abroad, you may need to consider getting supplemental health insurance and stuff. And that was the one that you contacted and they didn't get back to you? Okay, all right. If you have the Smith Comprehensive Health Insurance, excuse me, that will cover you while you're abroad. It will be on a reimbursement type of basis. And so you would pay, unfortunately, outside the US, general medical services are not nearly as expensive as they are here. So a doctor's appointment may run you $50 or so. And then you would contact the Smith Insurance here and submit a claim to be reimbursed. Okay, and then you would get your money back, or at least part of your money back. Okay. So again, if you have questions about that, let Angela and I know, and we can walk through it as best we can. Travel and visas that came up on the Jamboard, so make sure that you're getting your flights for the dates that are your term. I know that things are changing, and Angelo is in the process for those of you who are eligible to issuing the airfare stipends. You would have received an email if you're getting an airfare stipend. So those are being processed, but perhaps some of you are waiting for that funding in order to purchase tickets. And then what are the visa requirements for you to be allowed to study as a student in the countries where you're from. And then last but not least, with Smith policies. So all of the policies that are true for you here are also true for you abroad. Student conduct, academics, Title IX, all of the things that you have here to, help you have a successful and joyful time here at Smith also apply for while you're abroad and stuff. So if you have any questions about that, again, information on the Moodle site, or you can always ask Angela or I. Right. As I mentioned, this is what we're looking at for our metrics. So concern about metrics in the SARA group, which is the Study Abroad Risk Advisory something group. There's too many A's and I never remember them. It's called SARA. And we're meeting on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, and we're looking at all of the countries where students are going and looking specifically at yours, obviously. What we're looking for mainly are the test positivity rate, which we know is trending up throughout the world, right? Including here at Smith, 19 cases. The new case, the middle one, the new case incident rate per 1,000. The reason that this was an important one is because there's some countries who have low population, like Iceland. And so when they get 5 positive cases, their trend goes like this, when really proportionately to their population, it's a steep curve, but it may not be as detrimental as, that many, the equivalent increase in Northampton or New York City or things like that. So we look at that, and then obviously we're looking at vaccination rates. As you may have heard, there could, to return to the US, at least right now, there's a requirement to have a negative PCR test within 24 hours or 1 day. Hopefully by the time you are all thinking about returning to the US later in the spring, that will be lifted. But I point that out because there may be similar requirements for you to enter your country. So hopefully your host institutions will be providing you with that information. Have they done that? Does it sound right? No. Where are you going?
I'm going to UCL. I just don't have any information yet.
Not any information yet. Okay. So, but it's the same as the UK in general, right? And do we know that?
I was just looking at it. Yeah, and some of you were nodding yes. What did you hear about testing?
I heard from Oxford that we need a negative
PCR test, I believe, within 24 hours or 28
Yeah,
days.
after we arrive, yeah.
Oh, within, okay, so but it's not a requirement to enter the UK.
No.
It's like a negative test on day 2 or something, I think is how they're,
But
their term.
the thing is that they won't like offer us the test, like it's not in person, they want a
That's
private one. And like the average price is like $75.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask if it's possible for the Sunbright office to help with funding that.
Can you write that in an email? I think that would be good, because I can take that to people who have more decision-making power than me for consideration.
I was looking at traffic tests for entering the UK, and it's still.
From the US to the UK?
Yeah, like on the UK.gov website, they have like a bunch of different, like, tests and stuff.
So like private companies, that's for Oxford, University of National Health.
Yeah, there are a bunch of different.
Okay. I'll look into that.
You remind me of your name? Sorry. Okay, Lydia Finkel and Leila DePaula, maybe you two can email each other and share some information. And if you have said a URL that you're looking at, you can send that to us so that we can trust it. Great, thank you. Okay, and then vaccination rates. So again, the idea is to try to keep people as safe as possible, as much as possible. Am I standing in front of the camera properly? Okay, so while you're abroad, as I talked about, there is a system on the website, and I'll show you an image of that in just a minute, where you can request a course approval from a course that is different from the one that you had pre-approved when you applied for study abroad. And that's fine to do. We know that some courses aren't offered, or during your ad drop period, you thought you might have wanted to take this really cool course, and then it's not as cool as you wanted it to be, so you can switch your courses out okay. I will always, when you do that, I will always help remind you to make sure that you're taking enough credit to get 16 Smith credits, okay? And we talked about that briefly, what that looks like for you. Right? Your grades will be, and like I said, I'll translate your grades from the number grade that you get to a letter grade. They will be recorded on your Smith academic record, but they will not be factored into your Smith GPA, okay? So that's important to understand because they will appear. So it's not likely, but if you do get a poor grade, that will be recorded on your Smith. Another common question that I get is that the courses that you do take abroad, they can qualify for Latin honors, and you need to be in touch with the registrar's office to ask whether a particular course can actually meet the arts criteria or so on and so forth, okay? With that said, also remember that the grade that you earn from that course will not be factored into your GPA calculation for honors and stuff. So the course can still count for fulfillment, but that grade is not going to. Okay. Insurance, like I said, we just talked about it. Make sure you know how to submit a claim to your insurance company should you need to. And I like the fact that people are looking into self-tests or COVID testing and somehow making sure to try to mitigate those as much as possible. Managing your health and wellness abroad. Okay, so we talked about what you need to put in place before you go, and then so ideally you're using those plans while you're abroad. And I think it's really important while you're abroad because you're going to be in a new situation, a new environment, a new strange language, even though it's still English. And, listen to yourself and listen to the normal ups and downs that you go through that are part of transition in general, okay, and stuff, because it's important to do that and make sure that you try to avoid getting too far down in the dumps that it's too hard for you to get back out, okay? So listen to yourself, seek help. If you don't know where to seek help, reach out to me or Angelo, and we can help you find that and stuff if you need to have that additional support. Safety. So your orientations, the arrival orientations are probably going to be large and super information heavy and stuff. And so I would encourage you to try to revisit where possible the information about safety, because the cultural mores and differences are going to be quite different wherever you go. And you don't know enough yet, or you won't know at the beginning, if you're even being pickpocketed, right? And you'll get from place A to place B, and you're like, where's my phone? And you had no idea, right? And this is particularly true if you're taking public transportation, and things like that. So really try to pay attention to the recommendations on how to maintain your personal safety. Use some logic, like don't go out by yourself at night, kind of things, and stuff like that. Try to go out in groups, and so on and so forth. Right? Adjusting to a new culture will be important. With the exception of Singapore, the UK and Ireland are going to feel very familiar, and yet they're so different, and stuff. And so you might, and it might be as difficult, perhaps with this culture shock as it might be going into an environment that's completely different from your home. So make sure that you're doing that. And then check your Smith email on a regular basis, because this is where all official communication, from the camera, Lisa, all official communication from Smith will be sent to you. So that will be for course registration next year as you re-enter as seniors, room draw in the spring. If you decide to apply for praxis funding, which you can do to extend your time abroad, that's how you would communicate with the Lazarus Center, and then obviously with our office as well. So really important to keep that information. Questions? Yeah.
Will we still be able to get like a semester GPA if we can show other contexts?
Say that again?
So in terms of our time abroad or semester abroad,
Yep.
will we still be able to get a semester GPA like separately that we could like calculate it later?
I think that you could definitely do that, informally, because as I mentioned, your grades are going to be posted to your Smith transcript. So you can do, you'll see an A and a B plus and an A and a B plus, and then kind of informally calculate your GPA that way. Okay.
Can I ask why they're not?
It's considered transfer credit, and so just like with summer credit or J-term credit from a different institution, or if you're a transfer student from a different institution, anything that's not taught at Smith is considered transfer credit. Yep.
Just another question.
Oh, sorry.
For the booster shot, can we qualify for the regular booster shots? Because like the one for loss of students will correct. That's after.
Okay, January 21st. Yeah.
Is that for all students?
Yeah. But you have to be eligible, so it has to be more than 6 months from your second dose.
Okay.
So if you qualify that, go to that clinic, because then you can get jobs for free.
You have to apply by
You have to apply by Monday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday, tomorrow. No, 2 days.
2 days.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. As I said, this is the image of the Smith website. There's a section that's called While You're Abroad. And if you see in the red square down at the bottom, we'd like for you to update your address for us. And that's not because we're going to track you. We're not into that necessarily, but if there's a situation where I can't contact you by email, it'd be helpful to have a phone number where I can reach you. Okay. And even if that, and if you have an address, that would be good too. Again, not likely going to need to use it, but it's helpful to have in case of emergency. The next link down is that course change form that I've mentioned. And then the third link is what I mentioned before, the transit stipend request. So you can't request a transit stipend until you actually get there and you know that you do in fact need to take public transportation to get to from where you're living to classes. Okay. Because we ask you a lot of information about, are you taking a bike or the bus or this, and how many times a week, and how much does it cost each time, and can you get a student pass? So there's a lot of information that you need to be able to insert into the transit stipend form in order to be able to request. So far so good. Okay, we're going to skip this in the interest of time. I'll put the link in the little site. It's just about resilient traveling, a recommendation to access the University of Michigan website in terms of resilience and travel. I can skip that one too. Okay, last piece, as I mentioned, you're going into a multicultural world where you are in one right now, and now you're going into a different context. So I'd like students to think about what is necessary in terms of cultural competence in order to be able to function in a multicultural world, okay? And what sorts of characteristics are important for you to be able to navigate in these new situations, in these new student faculty dynamics that you're going to be entering, and these new student-to-student dynamics that you're entering. I mentioned, I remember from the Jamboard, going into a co-ed environment will be a shift for sure and stuff. So thinking about what are some of the characteristics you're going to need to employ to be able to do that. And then think about why is cultural competency important? So think ahead, you know, what can you gain from this experience other than the rich academic environments that you're going to be able to do, the traveling that you may be able to do, and things like that. What are you going to be able to do to leverage this experience for what you do next? And then how can study abroad, like I just mentioned, influence your cultural competence? You're in a unique situation to really build on that you wouldn't normally get here at Smith. You've got plenty of cultural competence here at Smith, and now you've got a chance to test out that competence and make it even stronger. All right. And then, like I said, it seems like a long time away, but you will eventually have to think about coming back. We will be sending out housekeeping emails throughout your time abroad, and stuff. I'll send one pretty soon with reminding you about the course change form, the address change form, and the distribution list of all the students who are studying abroad. So we'll send out those housekeeping emails. Think about your summer plans and what can you do or what would you like to do during your summer before coming back. And then also thinking, this really seems like, oh my gosh, I can't even think about that right now. How do you showcase the new you, right? Because you will change, and it'll be hard to think about or envision that right now, but you will change. And so when you start noticing some of those changes, and especially the things that you like, you know, how are you going to show those off to people who know you? That's not going to showcase it. All right. And we're here for you, right? So Angela and myself are, your frontline for study abroad. If you're an international student as well, you can rely on Dean Caitlin and Claire, and then Laura Gomez, who is our administrative assistant in the Global Studies Center. So we are here to help you. We have a long track record of supporting students and studying abroad. So I know that you all will also be successful in this. And if there's anything that you need, just let us know. Thank you for your time.